If you've been playing Rise of Kingdoms for more than 5 minutes now, I'm sure you've been able to play a few rounds of Sunset Canyon or Lost Canyon, and if you're like me, you've probably played a few thousand. And over my time playing the game, I've noticed that these game modes are interesting, but they're definitely lacking something. So in today's video, I'm going to discuss what do Sunset Canyon and Lost Canyon need to become really good game modes. So if you want to know more about Lost Canyon and Sunset Canyon, and why they're really lacking and why they're not as enjoyable and not as valuable as they should be, you want to stick around until the end of the video. Now, before we discuss what needs to change in the game modes, let's discuss what I think is really good about Lost Canyon and Sunset Canyon respectively. And in my opinion, the first thing that both game modes do really well is it's just really quick. All you have to do is go pretty much challenge anybody, and then you get to skip the battle and you've done one challenge and then you can do it again. So it's really, really easy just to challenge people in Lost Canyon. It's not a long game mode, just 2 clicks of a button and you're pretty much done. So that's one thing I really like about the game mode. It's how fast and how quick-paced it is, because no one really likes those game modes where it's super long and it's pretty boring. So stuff, for example, like the Golden Kingdom are nowhere near as fun because of how long they take. But with Sunset Canyon and Lost Canyon, you can blitz through like all 7, 8, 10 attempts, however many you have, in like 5 minutes tops, because it is that easy. Even less if you can find a bunch of people you want to fight. So Lost Canyon and Sunset Canyon do that really well. That's the first thing I really like. It's just the speed of both game modes. The other thing I like about them is that they refresh daily. It's not like a once every now and again event. It's just something you can do every day, 5 minutes of your time. You get some speed ups, you get some really minor rewards, but it's just something you can do. And with Sunset Canyon especially, you can get even more attempts by doing your daily quests right here and getting to tier 100. You get challenge tickets, and there's a few other ways to get challenge tickets too. So Sunset Canyon and Lost Canyon do have that factor about them that is really good. It's the fact that you can just blitz through them and there's ways to get more attempts. With Lost Canyon though, it can be a bit more difficult to get extra attempts. It does actually cost you gems per attempt you add, and the more you get, the more it costs. So do keep that in mind, but for the most part, you can get more attempts if you need it on either game mode. The next thing I like about Sunset Canyon and Lost Canyon is that strategy does actually slightly matter in this game mode. Unlike like multiple fights and just pure fighting, where really the biggest side with the most troops and the most players wins, the way you organize your troops and the way you fight against another player's troops do make a difference. And even then, your commanders also make a difference. So I really do like those game modes where commanders are actually important, because you can't beat someone with much better commanders and someone with much worse commanders can't beat you. And in a game mode that's meant to be about fighting, I actually don't mind that. And because it's a fairly trivial thing, it's not like, oh, I'm getting decimated, I'm going to lose tons of resources. You're pretty much getting free stuff. I think that it's not that bad if even whale players get a few extra things. So I actually do like the fact that your commanders and your equipment and your formations and the places you use your troops actually do make a difference in this game mode, other than something like Soroli Crisis, where you can just use anything and win. So this game mode definitely involves strategy, and also your commanders make a difference. Plus, you might notice there are more unorthodox combinations inside of Sunset Canyon, because most players wouldn't run a Constantine on the open field, but in Sunset Canyon, he's one of the best commanders. So overall, I think that Sunset Canyon and Lost Canyon do start to work on a different part of the Rise of Kingdoms meta, rather than what we're normally used to, and it still uses your commanders and equipment in a very good way. So that's really what I do like about the game mode. It's got that good use of your equipment and your commanders. It's really simple and easy to use, and it has some strategic aspects. So now that we've discussed what I really like about the Sunset Canyon and Lost Canyon game modes, let's discuss what really needs to be added and changed to make them much more fun, because you'll notice over the time playing the game, these game modes do get pretty boring, and I think there are a few reasons for that. And one reason is because it's very repetitive and not much really changes. There's no special event that comes around every now and again. It's just log in every day, do Sunset Canyon. Yes, it's a quick thing. Yes, it gives you some free stuff, but it gets quite boring. So the first thing I think that Lilith should really change, and this is probably more related to Sunset Canyon, is making the Sunset Canyon tournament, which is something that happens in a KVK1 kingdom, a pretty much permanent thing that's always going to occur. The way it works is pretty much you fight people in your kingdom, and at the end, the person who's the best player gets 5 gold heads. And if it shows up once every 3 months, at least it's something new with Sunset Canyon, and it makes it a little bit more important. And the tournament usually lasts 3 to 4 weeks, so once every 3 months, and it takes a month to complete for every single stage to go through. It'd be super cool. So adding the Sunset Canyon tournament, which only really ever occurs one time, would be a good thing, and especially with the home kingdom would make it much more interesting than just log in, fight, get off, and also would allow more players to actually have a reason to possibly even invest in some Sunset Canyon commanders if they could earn you a few extra gold heads. So adding that form of basically an extra game mode related to Canyon is going to be really good, and if Lilith did do that, it would make Sunset Canyon especially a lot more interesting, and it would make getting rank 1 in Canyon actually more valuable than just sitting around and doing whatever, because I could lose 7 battles and it doesn't matter, or I could win 7 battles and the rewards are very small difference. But in Sunset Canyon Tournament, rank 1 compared to rank 2 is like 4 gold head difference. So I think that having the tournament to rock up every 3 months, just a kingdom-wide event, would be a very cool thing, and I'm pretty sure most players wouldn't fix it, because it's like really difficult to fix Sunset Canyon. So I think that pretty much every single kingdom would just have that extra event where you're fighting against other players in your kingdom, and it would be, in my opinion, fairly drama-free and fairly pretty much based on your account and the strength you have. So I would actually be a really big advocate for them adding the Sunset Canyon tournament to older kingdoms and making it one of those events that does come around more often. Also, it could even be a KVK thing that happens on like the first few days before Pass 4 opens, because if we're being realistic, the beginning of KVK kind of sucks. I mean, there's not much to do besides grinding with AP and doing bastions, and some KVKs don't even have bastions. So for the most part, adding things such as a tournament for Canyon just during the first couple days could be super cool and add a little bit more depth and a little bit more things to do as you wait for the KVK to pretty much get a kickstart. So having a Lost Canyon tournament even that gives you, let's say, just extra currency, or maybe even a few gold heads or some speed ups or some bonus to your account, like an extra 2% all damage, would be super cool. And I think that would definitely give, especially the beginning of KVK, a little bit more depth than just pretty much farm up resources and gather a little bit, because Canyon doesn't go off Crystal Tech. Having it so that you can basically still have a chance of winning this tournament and getting yourself some resources or some speed ups or some gold heads would be cool in both the start of KVK and even in the home kingdom. So that first change I think Canyon needs is just having an extra game mode, and the best way to do that is through the Canyon tournament, whether it be the Lost Canyon, Sunset Canyon, or even both. The next change that I think should happen is more related to Lost Canyon, and this is, I think the Lost Canyon should be a little bit more impactful on your kingdom rather than just your account, because we notice that all the time people are going to push for rank 1 in Lost Canyon. Obviously, everyone wants to go up in rank, but it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you're pretty much going to buy everything you'd want in the shop. So what could happen to make Lost Canyon a little bit more interesting? And I think the best way to do that is make it a little bit more impactful on a kingdom. Maybe rank 1 gets like an extra 100 honor an hour compared to like rank 100. Something like that. Adding honor points, adding some way to gain maybe even those Crusader points or whatever they added recently to KVKs would be a cool thing. So having stuff such as coalition points that get added, or having a separate version on the leaderboard here instead of just honor, or having another version instead of like kills, or even if it goes into your Oratarch testimonies, then having something that kind of impacts the kingdom, kind of shows off your account a little bit, would be very good, because at the moment all it does is give you some individual rewards. And what's KVK? It's kingdom versus kingdom. It's not 1v1, not 2v2, it's a kingdom versus kingdom event. So having it so that even Lost Canyon makes your kingdom get a few rewards, and it's based off however many people you get within the top 1,000, would be very cool, and would actually once again give it a bit more value and give it a more of an incentive to actually play the game mode, rather than be like, alright, I'm just going to kill whatever. If I go up in rank, I go up. If I don't, I don't. So giving it some form of just an extra kick, almost an extra thing for your kingdom, would be cool. Whether it be honor points, whether it be a small boost if your kingdom has the most high rank players. So for example, you can see here, all damage right there, maybe you get an extra %. Nothing crazy, just something small that makes it a little bit more worth your time. So stuff like that would definitely give Lost Canyon a lot more depth and make it a tad bit more interesting. The third change I'd want Lilith to add, and this is really only related to Sunset Canyon, is adding, pretty much like the Lost Canyon, putting that shop in there. That shop has a lot of potential to go much further. And for example, iconic crystals were added much later into the shop's life cycle. So being able to do something like give players this currency, whether it be at a smaller amount because it is a 24/7 thing, but at least giving them a shop to spend some form of a currency, whether it resets every week or every month, would still be pretty cool, because the Lost Canyon shop definitely has potential to go somewhere, and I'll discuss it a little bit later. So if they put this in Sunset Canyon, it would make Sunset Canyon quite a bit more interesting, and also once again give you more of a reason to push a higher rank. And another thing they could do with Sunset Canyon is make it so that, let's say in the daily rewards right here, there are a few extra coins or some extra thing you can spend in that shop. Maybe, for example, there's two different currencies, one for getting a higher rank on this, and then one for just logging in. So it could be simple too, like the just KVK shop, where you've got yourself the Conquest coins and the Season coins, maybe something like that for Sunset Canyon. And instead of it resetting every week or every month, maybe the shop will reset every week or every month, so you can buy something out of that shop that's going to give you some account value. Maybe it's extra challenge tickets, maybe it's a few equipment blueprints, maybe it's some blue pieces of just materials. Anything would be better than nothing. So having that shop could be very interesting, and the way they could implement it would definitely once again give Canyon a lot more value and at least make it more worth your time once again, at least more interesting for pushing a higher rank. Now, the next thing that should change in Sunset Canyon especially is removing the ability to revenge cheese a player. If you don't know what revenge cheesing is, pretty much you lose to a player who is a lot weaker than you or you know you can beat on purpose. See right there? I just threw that match on purpose to someone I should easily beat. And then what do? Well, you go into your basically history right here and you can revenge cheese that player. You can just revenge them as many times as you want and push yourself to like rank 15 while pushing them down to like rank 1000. And it's absolutely insane how revenge cheesing works. I'm not going to do it to this player, but pretty much you can just keep doing that until you either run out of challenge attempts or they reach the bottom of your list and start to disappear. So revenge cheesing absolutely sucks. I know it causes drama in some kingdoms, and the removal of revenge cheesing would make Canyon a much more fair thing. Because right now I could just go throw on my farm account, for example, and then go up to rank 15 for doing nothing. So revenge cheesing, definitely, if Lilith wants to make Canyon more of an interesting game mode, should go. And the most simple way to remove revenge cheesing is revenge them once and you can't do it again. That's the most simple way you could think of, because then it's basically an equal trade, and it makes sense. If you want to revenge a player that's just beat you, you can revenge them, get your stars back, move up in rank, and move them down in rank again, and that's how it should work. So pretty much as if you've played Clash of Clans, if your village gets attacked, you can revenge the other village, and then you can't revenge them twice. You can only revenge them once unless they attack you back. So removing revenge cheesing would definitely be a very good thing for Lilith, and also would help stop players who try to snipe rank 1 within like the last minute. So stuff like that definitely need improvement in the Canyon. Just the overall revenge mechanics and the way that pretty much finding opponents works definitely need a little bit of changing, but for the most part, the fighting system and the simplicity of it are definitely very good. But like I said, revenge cheesing definitely needs to go. Now, the final change that Lilith really needs to add to both Lost Canyon and Sunset Canyon, and this is probably the biggest thing, is more rewards. Lost Canyon right now absolutely sucks. When you look at Lost Canyon, there's materials for an extremely overpriced cost. 50,000 coins for just one gold star is abysmal, because gold stars are basically useless. Tomes of knowledge are not worth 2,500. No one cares about the avatar frame. All the blueprints here are pretty average besides like Eternal Night, and even then they're really expensive. So the only basically two things of real value in the Canyon shop are the Iconic Crystal and the Call of the Loyal, because Call of the Loyal is really cheap and basically a fairly decent just filler accessory, and the Iconic Crystal, well, it's pretty overpowered. But for the most part, other than that, the Canyon shop sucks. There's no point going to rank 1. What are you going to buy? If I'm rank 1, really, what do I get? Maybe every 6 hours I get a green material. Every 25 hours, more than a day, I get one blue material. Kinda is trash. So adding more rewards into the Canyon shop for Lost Canyon, and even if they add a Canyon shop to Sunset Canyon, would be a good thing. And the best way I can recommend this is, like I said before, something similar to, let's just say, the Olympia shop, which currently isn't a thing anymore, but when it was a thing, you could go into the Olympia shop and purchase 1 or 2 extra gold heads. You could purchase a few extra action point bottles, stuff like that, which actually made some sort of value to your account, not stuff that's not going to change much. Like, yes, Iconic Crystals and Call of the Loyal are good, but the rest of the stuff in here is bad. And I can buy this at the start of KVK because I've done at least one round in Canyon. And even my alt account in KVK 1, which I haven't done Sunset Canyon on or Lost Canyon on for like, I don't know how long, could still buy the Iconic Crystal and a full Call of the Loyal by the time the KVK ended at rank like E. I was like at the bare minimum you could earn. I'm like rank 5,000 plus, and I'm still getting enough things to buy Iconic Crystals and also Call of the Loyal. So these items are really cheap. Everybody can get them. Make something that's actually worth pushing for a higher rank. If I'm getting 180 coins an hour, what do I need them if all I can buy is 2 items that are worth my time and the rest absolutely suck? So adding some more value, whether it be maybe an epic material choice chest, like 5 or 10 of them for a much cheaper price, or even reducing the cost of the current materials in there, would be a good idea. And the best way to do that, like I said, more items, adding stuff such as better materials and even gold sculptures, would make the Canyon shop a little bit more interesting. And it doesn't have to be like 50,000 gold sculptures, like 5 for a whole KVK would be good. 5 legendary materials, even 3 legendaries, 2 epics, something just a little bit more interesting inside the Canyon shop would be a very good thing. Other rewards they could add could come in the form of better, basically, rank rewards. Currently, the rank rewards for Canyon, especially Lost Canyon, are underwhelming considering it takes 50 days to get there. So having something like, let's say, 1,000 speed ups instead of 100, or having something like a gold sculpture, even 3 gold sculptures for reaching S rank, or some gold materials, or even possibly a conquest coin would be very good, because currently Canyon rewards are very bad once again, and having stuff like a conquest coin or having stuff like season coins within the daily rewards of a Lost Canyon, or even at the end season rewards, would be a good thing. So having some more valuable items within Lost Canyon would be very smart, especially for the league rankings, which are once again very underwhelming considering no one really cares that much about gold keys. The XP terms are kind of useless. The only good things there are the speed ups, which are actually a fairly low amount, and the 15 million or 30 million total resources. So other than that, the Canyon rewards for 50 days of fighting to try and keep rank 1 absolutely suck. So for the most part, I recommend that what we should do is add some slightly better rewards into the top 100, and even then that should carry on to the lower rank. In most KVK, since there are at least like 1,500 to 2,000 players, rank 1,000 should get somewhere in the realm of like 1 gold head or just like 10,000 season coins, something a little bit more interesting that does give these rank rewards more value. Now, the same thing can also be said for Sunset Canyon, which arguably has worse rewards than Lost Canyon. There is no special item in here like an iconic crystal. There are no blueprints or accessories. There are no materials even. The best you get is after a whole week, like in total, you get around 90 hours of training speed ups. Even then, that's really not much. So what should we see with Sunset Canyon? Well, if we see that tournament, I expect there to be gold sculptures in there, and even then, I still think that the daily rewards and also the season rewards need something a little bit better. And I'm not saying like milk up these rewards, pump them with gold sculptures, because seasons only last 1 week. I'm saying more, let's just add a gold sculpture every maybe like a monthly season that comes around. Or let's add an epic material at the end of the week for the people in like rank 1 to rank 100, rather than just here's slightly good trash that you can maybe use, because even for the daily reward past rank 1, you don't get much. Like, let's be real, rank 51 to 100, where most players with a decent account will sit, I get an hour of speed ups, I get a silver key, 30,000 XP, and at the end of the season, I get a gold key, ooh, and I get 3 hours of speed ups. So the rewards here are really lackluster. Adding something extra would once again give it a lot more value and make it more interesting. And like I said, this doesn't necessarily have to be through the season rewards and the daily rewards. It can be through some form of a Sunset Canyon shop that has decent rewards in it, which maybe you get currency for by being in a higher rank rather than having to collect it like in the Lost Canyon. So having some differing point like that while also having that Canyon shop would be very good, and once again would solve that issue of basically having really trash rewards. So adding those more rewards through a ton of different methods would be a good thing, and this can be, like I said, through more events, through more things that give you value. Anything that would make the Canyon events more interesting and more worth your time would be a good upgrade. So now, overall, my opinion on Lost Canyon and Sunset Canyon is very simple. The game has moved on without them. We haven't seen major additions for quite a while. The two biggest probably being the iconic crystal in the Lost Canyon and also the addition of Peter's sickle, which no one uses. So what do I really think? Well, I think that overall, the game modes both have good potential. They're really fast-paced, they're really easy to do, you don't really have to give too much effort to them, they're not as taxing and as boring as something as Golden Kingdom, but they are almost a waste of your time nowadays. The rewards are very minuscule, most players just don't even bother, but in the future, I think that both game modes have potential if Lilith takes them somewhere. So right now, I'm hoping that Lost Canyon and Sunset Canyon do get some type of a revamp in the future to make them more valuable and also make them more interesting to play. So now that we've made it to the end of today's video, allow me to just quickly advertise one thing, and that is my Archer Syndicate Discord server. It's the best server for everything in Rise of Kingdoms. You can speak to me, you can ask me questions, and I even give out special roles based on if you're a king or not in-game. So if you're a king in Rise of Kingdoms, or you just want to join the server to talk with me, talk with fellow players, and ask the best questions about Rise of Kingdoms, the link will be in the pinned comment and also in the description. Trust me, you won't regret it, and everybody should be in that server. So join the server, link, pinned comment, and description, you won't regret it. Now, I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.